r/AskReddit. What was the most embarrassing moment in your life? When I was in the 7th grade, I got assigned a project with the most popular girl in school. This was my chance to become her best friend. I invited her over to my house and I thought we could chill before jumping into the project. I thought the best way to impress her would be to show her the dance I made to a song from the new J.Lo album. She sat on the couch while I performed. We did not become best friends. In a similar display, a grade 8 history project had us make a parody of an existing song with new lyrics written about Napoleon. A girl I liked listened to Eminem, so naturally I decided with zero rap experience or know-how to perform Rap God in front of the entire class with new lyrics about Napoleon. The class was dead silent for the entire duration and all the teacher could say was "wow, you memorized a lot." I asked my cousin, who I hadn't seen in 2 decades, how long he and his girlfriend had been together. He informed me that it was his daughter. When I was 12, I was watching a movie about someone visiting a loved one in prison. It was a conjugal visit. I didn't know what that meant since all that was really depicted was the visit. So, I boldly turned to my dad and said if he ever went to prison I'd have conjugal visits with him as well. He said, "I wish you wouldn't," and then laughed. Anyway, I was rehired at a job after 6 years and most people still there remembered me and was happy to see me back. Friday rolls around and someone goes, "Dave, come by the break room." I wander in and there's this cake at the end of the table and everyone is standing there. So I say, "You guys," and blow out the candle, not noticing it said "Happy Birthday, Julie." My mother liked to make ceramic dolls. She was part of a doll club in which fellow crafters would meet and discuss the craft and share ideas. My mom was on average 20 years younger than the majority of the club members. They would rotate hosting responsibilities. When my mother was hosting 20 or so mostly elderly women at our house, I walked into the space to greet our house guests. I was 17 years old at the time. While standing in the room saying hello, my younger brother grabbed my sweatpants and dropped them to my ankles. Boxer briefs and all. I was pantsed in front of the doll club. The full Monty. 30-something years later, I can vividly see their faces and reactions. I am scarred for life. Some kid and I agreed to wear tuxedos to the last day of middle school. I was too young/stupid to realize he wasn't serious, so I convinced my mom to front the cost of renting a tuxedo, which I spent the next several weeks paying off. I won an academic award that year too, so not only did I show up in a tuxedo, I had to go up in front of the whole school in the gym to accept the award. I would have been envious of the self-confidence it takes to wear a tux to the last day of school. I understand you were embarrassed by it, but it's also kinda awesome. Last week when I accidentally sent an ass photo to my family's group chat for my grandmother's funeral. We were studying in a library with my friends when we heard this horrible off-tune singing from the floor below and we started to joke about it for a while. After half an hour, one librarian came to say that it was a mentally challenged kids concert organized by the library after hearing our joking. At the moment I was red as a fire truck and could just say that we are sorry about this. I will not ever forget that embarrassment. Luckily I'm not that kind of person anymore. Me and my cousin found a couple of dildos in his parents' place and started using them in sword fights. We were swinging them wildly so no one seemed to notice what they were. My cousin was holding it by the balls while I did the other way round as if I was using a club and he knocked mine clean out of my hand right into the living room. My aunt shrieked loudly followed by the dog picking up and running away with it as a stick. When we finally caught the dog I asked my uncle what it was and he said it was a cake mold, which made sense at that time. There were bite marks on it lol. The dog went to town on that one. Dog had the habit of picking up anything we dropped and running until we caught it. R.I.P. Floofy, I still miss you. I was 17 and working my first job, KFC, and that night I was working front counter. Being 17, I was high as giraffe bussy. This guy comes in and he places his order and midway through says to me, "Sir, there is a large pair of women's panties behind you." I looked behind me and there was in fact, a large pair of women's panties behind me. The night before, I had washed my work uniform and some of our laundry had gotten mixed up and her underwear must have gotten stuck in my pant leg and I didn't notice. Instead of explaining this in a rational, logical way, I was so stoned I just kind of blurted out, "Oh, it's okay, those are my mom's." The look on this poor dude's face said he thought he was going to Kentucky Fried Chicken, but ended up in Alabama. I drowned at my aunt's engagement party when I was 11. All night I had been trying to get in good with the other kids at the party, whom I had idolized, And all of that evaporated in the blink of an eye when all of them and almost every other partygoer gathered around me at the poolside while my dad, an EMT, worked hard to resuscitate me. Lucky me, I woke up to nearly 50 pairs of eyes on me, my soaked clothing, and the embarrassing and suddenly enforced fact that I had yet to learn how to swim and that this incident was, in fact, my third drowning. This was the most publicly embarrassing moment of my life. My private most embarrassing moment of my life, which I still look back on and cringe about, came immediately after. The shame of the situation overtook me to the point that I locked myself away in the home's only bathroom for the rest of the party, a total of 3 hours or so, with a plate of rice acting as my only form of company. And nobody noticed I was gone, which means I got what I wanted, I suppose. I flashed my bobs at a cop once. That was pretty mortifying. They lived on my street and were driving by while I was outside. I went to give them a thumbs up signal and my thumb got stuck on the hem of my shirt on the way up, and there were my bobs. This was the second time I flashed someone while trying to give a thumbs up. I don't do that signal anymore. During my first couple weeks at a paint store, one of our largest customers, who happens to be in his 70s and to have a severe limp, was signing for his paint with his left hand. Since I'm a lefty, I am legally bound to make a lefty joke. Me, how long have you been left-handed? Customer, ever since the stroke. Was on the phone to customer support. The call was coming to an end and I thought it would be hilarious to say no, you hang up. It didn't land and the rep said excuse me. I nearly died and hung up straight away. I'm still haunted by that moment. While I was in class there was this tennis ball that we found and we had a game with all my friends. Every time the teacher was turning his slasher back to us we have to throw it as hard as possible on somebody without getting caught. It eventually came down to me and I tried a tiny bit too hard. That plus my horrible accuracy I ended up throwing it baseball player style directly into my teacher's face as he was turning. Even though he looked at me while I did the action it seemed that he didn't notice or he was just a bit stunned and kept on asking which one of us did it. A snitch ended up talking and next class he showed up with a bag of tennis balls and a baseball helmet. He gave everyone one a ball except for me. He gave me the helmet. You see where this is going, right? He then formed a line with everybody and made me stand in front of the board and they each thrown a ball, most of them very hard, some soft, every single one in my stomach. The last one was the teacher and boy did that hurt. I feel like his whole energy was put into this moment. TLDR, my teacher let everyone throw balls at me because of my poor aim. I had an itch in my throat while waiting for the Starbucks barista to call my name to grab my drink. I thought I could make it. I was wrong. It turned into a cough attack. The cough attack turned into me choking, red, on the ground with snot coming out of me. I finally got a breath in, coughed and farted loud in a very busy Starbucks. I was in a small restaurant with my dad and brother and when I went to the bathroom, I decided to belt out the chorus to Weird Al's The White Stuff in full volume thinking the bathroom would contain my vocals. I walked out realizing the restaurant was quiet and when I sat down my dad goes, "What the hell was that?" And when he saw the confusion on my face he proceeded to explain to me that the entire restaurant heard me. When I was 7, me and my family were visiting Edinburgh and we decided to go to the botanical gardens. While there, I was drawn to these giant lily pads. I suddenly had memories of watching frogs jump on smaller sized lily pads and thought it would be an excellent idea to try and hop onto one to see if it would hold my weight. Safe to say it did not, and it was a long, wet walk back to the car after an embarrassing explanation to the managers of the gardens as to why one of their giant lily pads had a child-shaped hole in it. I liked this boy in my art class and found out through some mutual friends that he lived a few blocks from me. So instead of just talking to him at school like a sane person, what I decided to get his attention by sneaking out of my house at 4 a.m. with a big bag of garbage, walking all the way to his house, throwing the garbage all over his lawn, then ringing his doorbell and running back home. The next day at school I asked him if anything weird happened at his house last night. When he said yeah, I revealed that I was the one who pranked his family last night. He just awkwardly said "oh okay." And didn't talk to me for a few months after that. What the fuck was I thinking? I was in high school and asked a teacher if she was a member of the Mile High Club in front of the class. I had never flown before and was not aware that the Mile High Club was for people who had segs in a plane. I was thinking about the memberships where you sit in private rooms to wait for your plane and get free things. Basically wanted to kill myself afterward. Yes, she was attractive. No, she did not answer. I'm 39 and I still think about my first almost kiss. It was so awkward and embarrassing. I was 11 or 12 and at camp, we were playing spin the bottle. I was a really naive little girl and didn't quite understand what I was getting myself into. The bottle landed on me and I stood up to kiss the older and far more experienced boy in front of me. I essentially unhinged my jaw and opened up my mouth really wide to kiss him. He stepped back and took one look at me and said no. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, show your support. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below.